Hello, I'm Harvey Williams, and welcome to another edition of the Blue Tiger View.
Wherever it's happening on the Lincoln University's campus, we're bringing it home to you. I'm Gordon Everett. As final exams quickly approach next week, it's time for students to buckle down, eat brain-powering food, find a quiet place, and study, study, study. I have more on this story.
You know,
What you gotta do?
hey man,
You gotta
let me
get
tell
you a good night's sleep and eat you a good breakfast. And then you know you gotta study, then you gonna ace the test.
Yeah, this is what you gotta do, man. You gotta get your legs some rest. You gotta get your brain some rest. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta study. You gotta go hard. You gotta give yourself some time. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta get up early, brush your teeth, eat a nice breakfast before you take the final. Cause if you don't eat, then you know it kind of messes with your brain. And do what you gotta do. Do your thing. Go ahead, man. You know this is a good school, man. People think this ain't no good. This is a good school. It just what you make of it. So if you don't make nothing out of it, then you ain't gonna be nothing. This the real world. Ain't nothing wrong with Lincoln, man. Ain't it, David?
Ain't nothing wrong with Lincoln. It's what you make it out. It's the education here. You better go get it.
Coming up next week, how will you prepare, and what do you think your hardest final will be?
Probably economics. I've been running field tutor, running to the library, studying and everything.
That's pretty much it?
Yeah, that's pretty much about it.
So how many finals do you have?
I only have two, one in economics and one in...
So, with finals coming around next week, how will you prepare, and what do you think your most difficult finals are? Your easiest?
My most difficult one is my math, which is statistics, and I am getting tutoring help for that. And my easiest one, I think is going to be first aid. I'm not too worried about that one.
So you feel very comfortable about those?
Yes. Like I'm going to ace them because I'm getting help.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What's coming up next week? How will you prepare, and what do you think your two easiest or difficult finals will be?
I will be getting adequate sleep and eating nutritional food to prepare, and I think my easiest finals will be the ones in Dick Dalton's class, and the hardest will be my exercise physiology.
Really?
Yes.
All right, thanks. So with finals coming up next week, how will you prepare, and what will your most difficult or easiest finals be?
I'm going to prepare by studying right now in advance. I'm studying the week of finals. My easiest final shall be my experimental psych class.
Your hardest?
I did very well, huh?
You don't have a hardest one?
My hardest one? Most likely be my advanced psychology class.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next week, how will you prepare, and what do you think your most difficult and easiest finals will be?
Well, how I will prepare is study hard, you know, try not to party or get involved in something that's going to lead me to doing bad on my test. And my hardest final will be my criminal justice class because it's a 300 level and it's like 82 questions of reading, so yeah.
You got an easy one?
I won't say none of them easy. As long as I study well, I do my best on it.
Lincoln University's journalism department recently received a new head. Our own Colt Thomas went out and interviewed Brian Sammons on his new position.
Brian Sammons has worked for Lincoln for 4 years and has recently been promoted to head of the department. I asked him on his views of the journalism, English, and foreign language departments.
I grew up in a town called Mount Sterling, Kentucky, population 10,000 or so. It's right at the foothills of the Appalachia in eastern Kentucky. I did my undergraduate degree at Bowling Green, Kentucky, at Western Kentucky University. I got my master's at Western Kentucky in English, and then I got my PhD at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. My first job out of the PhD program was at Southeast Missouri State, Cape Girardeau. That brought me to the state of Missouri. Then I took a lectureship at what at that time was UMR, and while I was there it became Missouri Science and Technology. And then I was offered an assistant professorship here at Lincoln in Jefferson City, and I've been here for 4 years. I find teaching here very rewarding, and I love our department. I love the people in our department. They're good people to work with. I've enjoyed it, you know. I mean, it's had its ups and downs, you know. I think all jobs do, but I've really enjoyed my time here, and it's been a pleasant surprise in some ways, just in terms of maybe you have certain expectations going into any job because there are reputations that surround certain places, but you often find, I think, when you get into them that, you know, reputations are just like any other form of myth. You know, there's maybe a little kernel of truth in that, but the reality is quite different. I'm one of those people who has the unfortunate task of following something of a legend, you know. Like, I took the position of being department head back in August, quite suddenly. My predecessor, it's been challenging because being department head is a job that carries with it a lot of responsibility with a modicum of actual power. Whereas I think a lot of people think you have more power than you do, right? So they expect you to just snap your fingers and do things, and of course it doesn't work that way. But at the same time, I've got a lot of really experienced people in my department. I've found working with the various advisors and people to be quite pleasant and helpful. In terms of journalism, I think, you know, if we could get a stronger faculty base going. We've got two very, very strong pieces, if you will, in place. If we could bring one other person in, you know, I'm a big believer in the power of three. You know, I think that's kind of, as the song used to say, a magic number. And that will help us stabilize the program, I think, and better meet the needs of all the majors we have. We have 66 currently journalism majors. There's quite a few to be serviced by 2 full-time professors. Foreign languages, we've suffered some setbacks in recent years. We're definitely understaffed there. We need to rebuild. We need to decide exactly what our philosophy is there. That's probably the one that's the most inchoate at the moment. In terms of English, I'm hopeful we're going to get a British specialist back in here. We have a strong and vibrant English, foreign languages, and journalism department, and I think that that's going to continue. We're only going to get better. You know, I think that we, in some ways, we're climbing out of a period of financial uncertainty and something of an unstable environment here, just in terms of our department and certain losses we've had. But I think the future's looking quite bright. So.
The American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals will soon be hosting a training workshop in the city of Grandview to teach law enforcement officers and animal cruelty investigators how to crack down on blood sports. Blood sports include dog and cockfighting.
The Lady Blue Tigers kick off their season with a new head coach. Cedric Riddle has the opportunity to get more in-depth into the program.
The Lincoln University women's basketball program looks to start the season off strong this year after coming off a winning season. Last year, the Lady Blue Tigers made it to the conference tournament where they made their first ever postseason win over Pittsburgh State, finishing the season with 15 wins and 13 losses. The Lady Blue Tigers are also returning 7 players from last year's team. When I spoke with head coach Nicole Collier, I asked her what were her expectations on the upcoming year as she heads into her first season as the head coach. And simply put, she just said just to have a successful winning season and to make it to the tournament, but to win it all this time around. The only exhibition game for the 2012-13 season comes against the Missouri Tigers that was 13-18 last season. This exhibition game will take place on October 30th at 7 o'clock p.m. at Mizzou Arena in Columbia, Missouri.
Jefferson Cities will be hosting a play, It's a Wonderful Life, at the Stained Glass Theater for the first 2 weekends in December, starting December 6th through the 8th and the 13th through the 15th. The play will be from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. For any questions, please call the theater at 634-5313. And that's the news. I'm Gordon Everett.
And I'm Harvey Williams. And remember, if it's happening on the Lincoln University campus, Blue Tiger View brings it home to you.